growing concern of an all-out trade war has already hit farmers and ranchers. Now it's reaching all across Texas.
We all have a stake now, not just those in agriculture, because that money is coming from American taxpayers, from all of us.
We look closer at the push for long-term solutions to help Texas farmers stay productive. Risky Rides, a Texas dealership busted for holding titles hostage and handing out fake license plates. Our investigative team gives you an exclusive look as law enforcement makes its arrests. The deadline has passed for the government to reunite children separated under the zero tolerance policy at the border. But not all of the kids are back with their parents. Hello, and thank you for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. Thursday marked the court-ordered deadline for the Trump administration to reunite families separated at the border. More than 1,800 children are either back with their parents, awaiting trial, or have been placed in what the government calls appropriate circumstances. But there are hundreds of children still in limbo. In some of those cases, the parents have already been deported. The American Civil Liberties Union is now asking a judge to give families still here illegally a little more time to deal with the issues they face.
They're fleeing for their lives. They're bringing them here to protect them, to try to save their lives. And they have a right to do that under international human rights law, and morally, they're fleeing for their lives to protect themselves and their children.
Government lawyers say some of those deported voluntarily left their children behind, but advocates say many of those parents were either confused or thought they were turning custody over to relatives in the U.S. It's been nearly 4 months since the president ordered National Guard troops to the border to help stop illegal immigration. It was supposed to be a temporary program, but now lawmakers are looking for ways to pay for a longer mission. Washington correspondent Anna Wernicke has the details.
I have seen what works to secure our borders, and I have seen what does not.
U.S. Border Patrol Chief Agent Rodolfo Carriage says the National Guard's extra boots on the border have helped tremendously.
So any assistance that we can get is welcome.
President Trump deployed the 2,000 National Guard troops to the Mexican border in April. Carriage told lawmakers that the Guard's mission remains strictly behind-the-scenes support.
There are surveillance systems to monitor, fences to repair, vegetation to clear, and intelligence reports to analyze.
This is a horrendous idea.
Texas Democrat Filemon Vela says the president should have never deployed the National Guard in the first place. He told Major General John Nichols with the Texas National Guard that he wants to pull the troops out.
I fear that your time and resources are being misspent on a deployment that may be nothing more than political show.
Our main mission is the defense of America.
Nichols told Vela that he thinks the mission has been a success so far. Arizona Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally supported the deployment, but she says it was supposed to be temporary, so it's time to start thinking about a permanent plan, like extending funding for the troops to stay longer.
We cannot continue to surge our citizen soldiers and their resources for just brief periods of time.
We'll continue as long as asked to do that mission.
General Nichols says the Guard is planning to rotate out and replace the troops that were deployed in April. He hopes to do that next month. In Washington, I'm Anna Wernicke.
We want to take a deeper dive into the issues on the border. Joining us now is Joy Diaz, the producer for Texas Standard on KUT Public Radio, and Bob Garrett is the Austin Bureau Chief for the Dallas Morning News. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hi. So the deadline has passed for families to be reunited down on the border, but clearly not everyone is reunited so far. What's happening there?
I think what's happening is that we are left with a lot of questions. We have about 700 kids who were not able to be reunited because the government has different reasons for each one of them, right? But we also have the hundreds that were deported, parents that were deported, and whose children remain here. What I think is next is answers to these questions. For instance, what happens to the kids who are not able to be reunified? The easy answer is they go into foster care. Yes, but people age out of foster care. What happens then? When you are an undocumented minor, it's one thing, but when you all of a sudden turn 18 and you are an undocumented grown-up, then we have serious problems. And we're talking about hundreds of children, right, that are aging by the minute. So this is a situation that will have consequences and ripple effects for many years to come.
We've been talking about this for weeks. It seems like some of the attention on this has died down a little bit, but we've got an election coming up, so is this going to still be an issue that voters are going to be concerned about in November?
Well, the Democrats hope that this plays well with sort of suburban moderates, independent voters, soccer moms, if you will. I mean, it is not the best face of the United States federal government. You know, whether it's, you know, if you want to just measure efficiency and competence, it's not, I mean, they're sending kids to the wrong airports in the middle of the night. It is not a pretty picture. It's not, though, playing in the media is you know, 24/7 the way it was a few weeks ago. So I do think news media organizations are committed to pursuing the story, so there will be poignant stories of families from now to Election Day.
And it's happening all over, you know, America as things have kind of spread out, so it's not like everything's happening on the border.
No, absolutely. And if I may add, I mean, when you think about this very common thing of today, the what if, right? What if this were a Democratic administration? Would this be more popular or less popular? Would liberals be complaining about this or not? Let's look at the Obama years, you know, when family separation was different, but it was still occurring. For instance, we were deporting parents of American children. That did not play well with the American public. Family separation never plays well with the American public. That earned Obama the title deporter-in-chief. We don't like that. The American public does not like that. So could it be an issue for November? It very well could be. The other thing is that as the story progresses, we're going to find more angles to the story. For instance, if you look at the economic angle of the story, right? How much do you think we have spent in airplane tickets of 2,500 children, sending them all over the country, and then trying to send them back to Texas, rushing them back to Texas? Just do the simple math. You know, there are so many stories that are possibly going to come out from today until Election Day that I doubt is going to be an issue that dies down.
And this is certainly, you know, not off the radar for Texas lawmakers. They've unveiled some plans and policies that they're hoping to implement. You wrote about that this week. Tell us about it.
Well, the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus, which is, you know, almost entirely Democratic Hispanic legislators, came out with a detailed policy proposal and said that Governor Abbott and his agencies that he's over can do a lot to help these kids, both through sort of CPS-type licensing and visits and clarifying reporting of child maltreatment to the child abuse hotline, but also just a host of other things of getting more eyes on them, getting, you know, bolstering these private charitable efforts to get them legal representation. Mary Gonzalez of near El Paso said that people will claim that this is a federal issue and states shouldn't be involved, but she sort of archly pointed out that, hey, a few years ago when we started spending nearly $1 billion per budget cycle on border security, that was a federal issue too, so the state was not at all hesitant to get involved. Whether the administration, the GOP leaders will do anything is unclear, but the Democrats have definitely laid out a plan for helping the kids.
And Joy, when we had you here in April, we had talked about the president just deploying the National Guard down on the border. It's really become kind of a long-term deployment. How's it affecting communities there?
It's an interesting story, too. We have so many interesting stories in Texas. But this is one that is interesting because it has a lot of contradictions to it. For instance, I recently talked to two ladies from Marfa, and what they were telling me was, you know, you come to Marfa and you see all these Border Patrol agents when Marfa is a tourist destination. People don't cross the border through Marfa, you know. So can you say wasted resources? Maybe. I don't know, but it's a story that continues to be a contradictory one. It doesn't make sense financially, and some states have already said, you know, we're pulling our troops back. This is not what we thought it would be.
And we know you guys will keep covering it. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Sure.
Challenge accepted, a big development in the race to represent you in Washington. Why you'll have more chances to see the candidates for Senate face off before November.
We're just a part of like a bigger platform, a bigger push for increasing food production.
The trade war is hitting Texas agriculture, and it's giving new urgency to the push for long-term solutions to help farmers stay productive. We'll look at one high-tech plan coming up on State of Texas. The race to represent you in the U.S. Senate may be the biggest draw for Texas voters this November, and it looks like you'll get many chances to see both candidates on the debate stage. Republican Senator Ted Cruz this week challenged Democrat Beto O'Rourke to 5 Friday evening debates in different locations around Texas. O'Rourke accepted. He'd already challenged Cruz to 6 debates earlier this year. This race is getting nationwide attention, with O'Rourke outpacing Cruz in campaign funding, despite refusing PAC and special interest money. And he's starting to put those donations to work.
The only way for me to be able to deliver for the people of Texas is to show up in every single community, in every county.
This week, O'Rourke launched his first campaign ad. It highlights the hundreds of public events he held as he traveled to all 254 counties in Texas. The spot is only playing online. As for the debates, the first one could come in late August. Both campaigns are still working out details for dates and debate topics. Those kind of details are still blocking plans for a debate between the 2 candidates for governor. We told you how Governor Abbott accepted Nexstar Media's invitation for a debate in September, but challenger Lupe Valdez accepted a different debate in October. Both campaigns still have not agreed on when the debate will happen. Don't expect to see other state leaders in debates. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick says he has no plans to debate Democratic challenger Mike Collier. Attorney General Ken Paxton has not accepted a debate challenge from Democrat Justin Nelson either. Voters will go to the polls Tuesday to choose a new state senator. Democrat Carlos Uresti resigned last month after being convicted on fraud and money laundering charges. Tuesday's vote is a special election to fill the vacant District 19 seat. The district stretches from San Antonio to West Texas and the border. 8 candidates are running for the seat.
We are not going to allow the situation like this to continue in this county anymore.
This dealership is accused of holding titles hostage and giving buyers these fake plates, stringing them along for months just to avoid inspections, make money, and skirt the law. See law enforcement make the bust and find out how it stayed in business so long. Growing concerns as the trade war hits Texas farmers.
These tariffs and the retaliation that we're seeing come at a terrible time.
But there's new help on the way. How students are working toward long-term solutions to help farmers cut costs. You're watching State of Texas. The growing concern of an all-out trade war with China is hitting farmers and ranchers across Texas. President Trump launched the tariffs that led to quick retaliation from China and other countries. The president says it's the right move in the long run. But right now, many farmers face crippling losses. So the president announced $12 billion in federal aid to help. The plan is getting mixed reviews on Capitol Hill.
He's handing out $12 billion of welfare to farmers across the country to make up for the losses that they've suffered as a result of the trade war he said he could win. We all have a stake now, not just those in agriculture, because that money is coming from American taxpayers, from all of us, and it's totally unnecessary.
Congressman Doggett serves on the House Subcommittee on Trade. He says he agrees with the need to take action against unfair trade practices by China, but says the president's approach is causing unnecessary damage. As Texans anxiously watch the back and forth on tariffs, a group of college students is using technology to come up with a long-term help for farmers. Wes Rappaport shows us one plan that's attracting international attention.
This tariff situation right now has things really interesting.
Larry Mellenbrook raises cattle in Bastrop County. He's one of many getting up to speed on potential market fluctuations for valuable Texas exports.
We could stand for the playing field to be a lot more level.
He's hoping a $12 billion payout to ag producers will help ease fears over tit-for-tat tariffs with Texas trading partners, at least in the short term.
Some of the farmers are running pretty tight right now.
These tariffs and the retaliation that we're seeing come at a terrible time.
The Texas Farm Bureau says net farm income is half what it was 5 years ago, the worst since the Great Depression.
Always looking at ways to innovate on their farms and ranches.
That's where these University of Texas students come in, looking to modernize.
We saw that there are major inefficiencies in the way the fruit is harvested.
They've developed a robotic system to harvest fruit, similar to the aerial camera used at football games.
It allows us to approach the trees without damaging the surroundings or damaging the fruits or even damaging humans.
And presented their idea at an international competition.
We want to spark that innovation, and we're just a part of like a bigger platform, a bigger push for increasing food production and reducing water usage and improving energy efficiency.
Anytime you help any one aspect of agriculture, the whole industry and the consumer will benefit from it.
Wes joins us now. These students in your story, they've been working on this even before President Trump had anything to say about this. So this really just shows that there is a constant need to talk about the efficiency in farming.
Yeah, you know, one of the big things that these students developed when they were talking about LV fruit fly is that, you know, they recognize that this comes with a hefty price tag. So, you know, tariffs aside, they understand that you do have to consider finances with this. They said that it costs around 20 grand for every 5 acres, but they do tell me that it should pay for itself on average within about 3 years. They also say, you know, it cuts down on water usage, allows farmers to increase the crop density because they don't have to have big expensive tractors around. And of course, it eases the burden on manual labor too.
You talked to the Farm Bureau too. What are they saying about the impact to Texas farmers?
Well, they say that this, of course, was supposed to be a short-term fix. This aid package that's supposed to help farmers is short-term, and it's supposed to do just that. It's not supposed to be a long-term solution. So they're worried that farmers and ranchers are going to sort of get lost in the middle there, this relief will not be sustainable for a long-term solution. You know, they're also looking for other options like other trade agreements, you know, promoting products overseas to other countries in addition to the traditional Texas trading partners, China, Mexico, and Canada.
Good to know. Wes, thank you very much. Texas car dealerships accused of duping drivers into buying risky rides. Now we reveal why these places are still in business, even after being busted. Our investigation next on State of Texas. Dangerous vehicles with fake paper license plates driving on Austin roadways. Their unsuspecting owners struggling for answers. Hassled by workers in our undercover video.
Don't call the police,
And in one case, chased off the lot by an employee with a machete. The complaints against 2 connected dealerships in East Austin are stacking up. More than 100 cases filed with the state DMV, many after we first started investigating this problem a year ago. This month, we got exclusive access as law enforcement moved in, guns drawn, on one of those dealerships, where our Brittany Glass watched the bust unfold.
Yeah, this dealership might look familiar because we were here back in 2016 when dozens of cars were towed off its lot. Now take a look, and law enforcement has once again surrounded the same site, now known as Lopez Auto Group. They're arresting workers and hauling off evidence, hoping their tactics stick this time to better protect drivers.
So I use the truck for work every day.
William Chalmers owns his own remodeling business. In the market for a new work truck, he went online to try to find a deal.
I saw the ad on Craigslist and I responded to it. And so he sent somebody else to meet me.
The dealer, at the time, T&Y Auto Sales, now known as Lopez Auto Group.
It broke down on the test drive. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get even out of the parking lot good. I got about maybe 50 yards, if that.
That's when Chalmers says he should have known something wasn't right. But he eventually decided on another truck for $4,400 cash. But the dealer never sent the title.
Well, I would call him and say, hey, where's my title? And they say, oh, we got it, it's on order, or come on down and I'll give you another paper plate so you don't get yourself in trouble. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to get in trouble. So I go get the plate I didn't even know was fake.
And to make matters worse, Chalmers says the truck couldn't have passed inspection.
We had to fix the horn and the brake lights weren't working. Somebody could have rear-ended me and I had to fix the starter, put a new battery in it and some new battery terminals on it.
We found a salesman telling prospective customers they shouldn't be worried about a spill below a vehicle.
Fine, don't check your license nothing. You know they're a brand new truck. Yeah, I know. It's an $8,000, $9,000 truck. I know that. Every company they still selling it for $10,000. I've been driving the truck myself, man.
We also discovered that location has been on the Department of Motor Vehicles radar for years. Police confiscated the vehicles from 2 East Austin lots in April 2016 after the previous dealership failed to prove they owned the vehicles up for sale. That means there were no titles.
Yeah, they're still doing it, you know. I mean, I just say don't buy cars from them. Let's just make sure you do your homework and educate yourself on them before you spend your money.
So how is this dealership still in business? Well, when the first bust happened in 2016, it was called Discount Auto Sales. But through state licensing records, we discovered that it opened back up over and over again with the same workers and management, just under different names. First as T&Y Auto Sales, and today as Lopez Auto Group. See, the DMV can only issue fines and penalties, not criminal charges. So there's not much stopping the business from popping back up unless law enforcement is watching them closely. Austin Police, which made that first bust in 2016, hasn't given us a clear response on that. But the Travis County Constable Task Force, which made this week's bust, says this will be a priority, that businesses like this one will no longer be able to take advantage of drivers.
We're not going to play whack-a-mole anymore with these types of unscrupulous dealers defrauding the public.
Brittany Glass for State of Texas.
We've been investigating these complaints for a year. This all started when a viewer reached out to us for help. We will keep you updated on this case and how it plays out. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.